So I'm here with Shasta Nelson, author of Friendships Don't Just Happen, The Guide to Creating a Meaningful Circle of Girlfriends, out today. Very exciting. I'm so happy to have you. There it is. Look at that. Hold it up again. Hold it up again and put it up to the camera for a second. There it is. Friendships Don't Just Happen by Shasta Nelson. Shasta is the founder and CEO of girlfriendcircles.com, a forum for women to connect and form meaningful relationships in the real world. Her work has been featured on the Today Show and the Early Show and leading newspapers like the San Francisco Chronicle, the Chicago Tribune. So we want to welcome you today. Thank you so much for doing this quick interview. And full disclosure, we've been friends for about a decade or more, so it's fun to promote your book and talk a little bit about it with you. What got you into this?
I should apologize right up front to all my male friends who don't appear in this book because it says for girlfriends, but I do have a lot of good male friends too, so maybe you'll make the next book, Ryan.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you about that in just a second. I want to find out, first of all, what got you into this work with Girlfriend Circles? How did you get started with that?
Well, I used to be a pastor, and almost all of my work with that was really, the passion was relationships. I just really think that we can do more good in this world together. And for me, I think we do most of our personal growth in relationships. I think anybody can be spiritual in a synagogue or a church or an ashram or having your morning rituals. But really the key to whether that's actually working is whether we're growing more compassionate, becoming more loving, practicing forgiveness. And so for me, relationships have always been like a really, really core theme for me. And I think the female friendship piece just happened where I was, for my own experience, of course, every time I move, I have that moment where you're just like, oh, do I have it in me to do this all over again? And yet knowing how important it is. And for me, I was doing a lot of coaching of women, and it just really felt like there was this huge need that I felt like I could help answer and help kind of give space for. So I just jumped in on that. And I have this poignant moment I start the book with. My first page of the book is telling a story. I remember walking down a street here in San Francisco, and I looked in these windows, and there was these women laughing around a coffee table. And I kind of remember it like this dramatic, slow scene movie in my head now, where they're touching each other's hands and laughing and just all huddled in to hear their stories. And I just remember being like, I have so many good friends across this country that I could call on my phone, but it is just not the same as having people to just share life with right here. And it was one of those moments where I was like, I want that again. So that's what I try to create and produce for as many people as I can now.
Man, you're making me think of so many things that I didn't intend to ask you, like the way that technology brings us together but also can separate us, and how this is an online platform for girls, women to meet each other, but the goal obviously is for them to spend time with each other in the real world, not online.
Yeah, right? Girlfriendcircles.com, it's a female friendship matching site, and the whole point is to get women in cafes, in small groups, talking. So it probably was that experience on Polk Street that I was like, how do we help do that? Like, anybody's looking for friends, raise your hand and let's get together and do it. So
one of the things you say, like I think it's on the cover of your book, that says friendships don't just happen. Is that what's on the cover? Yeah.
That's the title.
That's the title, right, duh. And but I think a lot of us think that friendships do just happen, right? Or, I think we all think that we're supposed to put effort into our primary, like, marriage or significant other relationship. We know that takes work, but we sort of hope that our other friendships will just happen along the way. But are you telling us that it takes work? That doesn't sound fun anymore.
I like that word better.
What word?
Intention.
Intention. Okay, because if it's work, then it sounds like another thing I have to do.
But I do say, I think friendship we want it to feel automatic because we think it happened that way when we were kids. And so we often tell ourselves as adults now that if I just don't have those close friends, it's because I haven't met the right people. And my argument is it has less to do with discovering the right people and more about developing the right relationships. And so it's, what are the ingredients? What does it actually take for you and I to build closeness? And we know that can happen because most of us become friends with people we work with that we would never have chosen on our own to become close with. They're not the people that we would have said, oh, they fit everything on my list. Right. But we build we have close friends that aren't the people we think we're looking for. So we know that if with the right ingredients, we can build something that matters to our lives.
Yeah, and life brings us into these relationships sort of in its own way.
And then us taking that initiative to actually keep, like if you work with somebody, the consistency is kind of built in for you. But if you
Right.
don't, and so many of us work in places where we're not meeting people now, work from home and places that we have to figure out how to create that consistency.
Right. You mentioned at the beginning of our conversation about men and how this book is primarily for women, and I think it's really significant because I you do hear women sometimes talk about how they can be hard on each other. One of the films I show my students, my college students, is Misrepresentation. It's about the sexualization of women in the media and how women are still struggling for equality in the workplace and so forth in politics. And one of the things they say in there is that women can be particularly hard on women. So, I mean, we don't have all day here to go into all of that, but do you think women and men have unique um, friendship challenges?
I think that women and men both have a very similar need for acceptance and belonging and vulnerability.
Right.
And research shows that for men and for women, there is no factor that scores higher for your health than whether you have those friendships.
Hmm.
So more than whether you're married is whether you have friends and feel that support system.
Wow.
For women, actually, our health goes down if we're married. Often our longevity decreases if we've had kids. So those relationships actually serve many other amazing purposes in our life, but they really aren't necessarily always making us healthier and live longer. For men, marriage does help. But in both cases, it's our circle of friends that actually makes the biggest difference. So I think gender-wise, the need is as deep and as sincere and equal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the principles of friendship are similar across the board. I'm very hesitant to stereotype, but I do think there are some differences in friendships, and I think it'd be a great long conversation to have. But, across the board, every time you even have stereotypes, there's men who really love just having deep conversations, and there's women who prefer doing activities with their friendships.
Sure.
I think I almost think men have it harder these days because there's still more protocol. I mean, I talk about we lack the protocol for picking up on friends, like we do in romance, but men have even less protocol and acceptability in our society for good, meaningful friendships. So I would love to help champion that too, or help invite other men to stand up and champion that for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of phobias and fears around men having intimate relationships. So, well, maybe your next book will be about men and friendships, or
maybe your next book.
Well, I'm not sure I'm an expert, but we'll see. So you've got a plane to catch. What are you up to tonight?
I do. I have my book launch party in LA tonight, so it's actually in Venice. So anybody, if you hear this in time, come out to Alexis Bitar on Abbot Kinney Boulevard tonight at 6:30. Cool. And then Thursday night is in New York City, and Friday night is in Chicago.
Wow.
So busy week.
Busy week. Well, we'll let you get to that, and I hope I can see you tonight in Venice, along with a bunch of other people.
That would be awesome.
Thanks, Shasta, for taking this time this morning, and good luck with your launch.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.